So we're only days away now from the network test of the Dusk Bloods for Nintendo Switch 2. And we are undoubtedly going to receive a deluge of information about the Dusk Bloods and more about the game and what it is. And honestly, I couldn't be more hyped for the future of FromSoftware, right? They just released the menu theme for Dusk Bloods, and you can go and look it up on YouTube. And I'm actually going to play it in this video, but that track is just an absolute banger. I feel like FromSoftware just doesn't miss with their music, and this is another great example of that. Now, Dusk Bloods is definitely in an interesting position, and with it being a Switch 2 exclusive, and it being a multiplayer game, I think kind of hurt it to some extent. I almost wish it was a all platforms game, so I could actually play with my buddy who doesn't own a Switch 2 and probably never will. It'd be great to have others experience it instead of just us Switch 2 owners. I will say the Dusk Bloods looks absolutely phenomenal, especially from the, its art style is insane. The game just looks absolutely beautiful, and how it kind of mimics the Bloodborne art style to some extent. All the characters look really cool, and I honestly can't wait to play this game. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes out, from the network test. I know we got leaked a bunch of the characters and classes, and it's interesting on how that's going to play out. It's going to be similar to Elden Ring, Night Ring, or what. But really, I want to get into the meat of this, and that's the next big single-player game from FromSoft. It feels like it's been forever since they released Elden Ring. I think it came out in, 2022? Right, and that game was just a masterpiece. Let's not beat around the bush here. That game is like Ocarina of Time level, Half-Life level of masterpiece. It's one of those rare masterpieces that only comes out once in a blue moon, right? A couple times in your lifetime. And this is definitely one of those games, right? And then in 2024, we had the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC drop, which was absolutely phenomenal. And that's probably the last time we got a single-player FromSoft game, right? Because after that, they released Elden Ring, Night Ring. And what I want to know is what the next single-player Souls-like game is going to be. Because I'll be honest, the multiplayer is cool, and some of that sounds fine to me. I'm more of a single-player guy myself, and I know a lot of us that play Souls-like games, we love the single-player experience. I think, my favorite games of all time are Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, and I want more aligned with that. I think having it being multiplayer kind of diminishes the vibe of what you would get from a single-player full-on FromSoftware experience, and that has me worried to some extent, right? Despite Dusk Bloods looking great, I play the games because I want to get lost in them, right? I want to get lost in this world. I want to explore every nook and cranny of the lands between, or whatever world it may be. Essentially just soak up all the, go on a big adventure and soak up the atmosphere and, dig deep into the lore of these places and these characters. Right, and I think, multiplayer games kind of diminish that to some extent. I really hope that's not the case, because some of the characters in Dusk Bloods look so cool, and some of the abilities you have and locations are just stunning. But we'll see. I think there is actually going to be a single-player mode available, but I think it's just going to be, maybe you're playing with bots or something along those lines, at least from what I can tell from one of the leaks. Now, I know there was that idea of the next game being called Cerulean Onslaught, that somebody supposedly leaked, and I think it's been debunked by now, so it's not, more than likely not happening, right? But essentially it would be like a nautical or pirate-themed Souls experience where you're on one big vessel, and that's kind of the hub world, and you go to different islands and land masses, and these are the different areas of the game that you progress through. And honestly, I think that's probably one of the best ideas I've ever heard for a Souls game. That would just be awesome. I love pirates, right? So if you could include some kind of pirate theming, or just nautical theming, or sailing theme in general, I think that would be awesome. It'd be interesting to see what kind of biomes and what kind of monsters and bosses they come up with if they were ever to proceed with that. But as of right now, we honestly have no clue of what FromSoftware's next big single-player game is going to be. And even though Shadow of the Erdtree came out in 2024, it feels like it's been forever. And I've just been fiending for a single-player Souls experience, and I know some of you guys probably feel the same way, right? Like I don't know, Night Rain, and that's okay, and Dusk Bloods, yeah, it's beautiful, but I don't feel comfortable with it being a multiplayer. I'd much rather prefer it just be a single experience with that exact art style, and maybe just be like a spiritual successor to Bloodborne. That would be neat. But yeah, based on everything we've seen, that's not what we're gonna get. And then another thing is, I think with the next big mainline FromSoftware Souls-like game that they're going to release, they could even scale it back a little bit, right? It doesn't need to be necessarily as big as Elden Ring, in my opinion. I mean, I think Elden Ring is the perfect size for an open world game and has one of the best open worlds out of really any game I've ever played. I'll be honest. I think even so, right, with the next FromSoft game, they could scale that back and just make it on the level of, you know, the scope of something like Dark Souls 3 or even Sekiro. I wouldn't, you know, a lot of people didn't like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, but in my opinion, that's one of the finest Souls-like games ever created. And I absolutely love the world of that game, right? It's Japan inspired, but it's not really Japan. I don't really know. But if they did a Sekiro Shadows Die Twice too, I would be fully on board with that. Right. Or even a spiritual successor to just what the classic Dark Souls games were, specifically Dark Souls, 1 and 3. 3 probably being my favorite Dark Souls game of all time. And I think it was the first Souls game I ever completed. But yeah, I just can't get enough of that game. It's absolutely fantastic. That's something I'd like to see. But then again, like, you have the question, like, how do you follow up on Elden Ring? You know, which is kind of like their magnum opus, kind of Miyazaki and FromSoftware's magnum opus. It's crown jewel, if you will. The game is so good. I don't know if you ever could follow up on it, right? But then again, it's FromSoftware, and they never really cease to amaze me with the stuff they put out and the quality and scope of their releases. So at the end of the day, I'm just excited for more works from FromSoftware. You know, whatever form they take, right? I mean, even though I knock on the multiplayer stuff a little bit, I think it's still very intriguing to me. So I'm definitely gonna be picking up Dusk Bloods when it drops, and I'm pretty excited to see what will be revealed in the network test. I think it's gonna be the first time we really get a full grasp of the scope of the game and the gameplay, and you know how the game is gonna work, the gameplay loop, and we're gonna see more of the environments and more of the music and more of everything, really. So I'm pretty excited for that, and I'll probably be covering that on this channel as well. Right, I mostly do Zelda stuff now, but I think the Souls games and FromSoftware games are my other love besides Zelda. So if you guys enjoy this, let me know. All right, guys, this has been my thoughts on what I want to see in the next mainline FromSoft game. If you guys enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the summer. We're getting pretty close, so I appreciate all of you guys for that. And drop a like if you enjoyed this kind of content. But anyways, I'm curious to know what you guys want to see in the next mainline FromSoft game. Please do let me know in the comments below. I really can't wait to hear from you guys. And moreover, I'm just excited for Dusk Bloods, and I'm really curious to see what the network test is going to show, and what we're going to gain from that, and what we're going to discover about Dusk Bloods and how that's going to work and play out. So anyways, guys, this has been Matt from Top Tier. I'm out. Bye.